My name is Shailendra Rathore, and I'm a student of MA Hindi at Delhi University. And it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 270th talk of Graduate Scholars Talk series. And I extend my heartfelt greetings to our esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, and our audience joining us from various parts of the university, the country, and abroad. Now, before I jump into the proceedings of the session, I would like to elaborate a bit about our initiative, that is GSTS. The Graduate Scholars Talk Series is an initiative organized by Sakshi, the History Society of Shyam Lal College Evening. The objective of this initiative is to provide a platform for academic discussions on various subjects. This initiative has already included speakers from different parts of the country who have contributed to the expansion of academic secularism. And GSTS has successfully completed 200 talks over the course of 4 years. And this initiative has been recognized three times by Doordarshan and has also been featured in the Times of India. A live broadcast was conducted under the G20 by Changemaker Summit, and GSTS is paving the way for speakers who wish to present their research discussions with innovative perspectives and concepts. The continuity and success of this initiative are maintained by our founder and advisor, Dr. Manish Karwar, along with moderators Mr. Ajay Gupta, Mr. Shubham Tiwari, Mr. Saurabh Singh, Ms. Manvi Saraswat, Ms. Samriddhi Kanpal, Mr. Manthan Tarle, and I myself. Now, to formally start a discussion, I would like to invite today's guest of honor to deliver the initial remarks and granting us permission to proceed further. So, please welcome Mrs. Nidhi Chand, ma'am. So, before I invite her, I would like to introduce her among today's audience. So, Mrs. Nidhi Chand is an associate professor in the Department of Economics at Maitri College, Delhi University, teaching undergraduate students for the past 30 years. And her fields of interest and specialization include econometrics, microeconomics, and macroeconomics. Through her area of research, which focuses on the impact of governance on development outcomes across nations, she hopes to make a meaningful contribution to the lives of her people and our planet. मैम आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है हमारे इस प्लेटफॉर्म ग्रेजुएट स्कॉलर्स टॉक सीरीज पे एंड before I proceed further, I would like to invite you for some of your opening remarks and for providing us permission to initiate further. Please, ma'am. Ma'am, you are on mute. Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Now.
Yeah. ओके बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शैलेंद्र पहले आपका मुझे बुलाने के लिए एंड बिफोर आई बिगिन आई वुड लाइक टू कांग्रेचुलेट जीएसटीएस ऑन दिस commendable work that they are doing consistently and 217 plus talks for last 4 years. It's a very a good job because unless we initiate a good communication amongst the future of our country, all of you students, then that is a very rightly done first step, I believe. And I would congratulate Dr. Manish and his whole team, all of you, to do this wonderful job. And today I've been hearing about all the talks, and today I'm indeed privileged to have the opportunity to start the process. And today's topic, I believe, since I'm from economics, we are all talking, it's all about, when we talk about economic development, economic growth, हम सब जब हम सब अपने ग्रोथ अपने प्रोग्रेस की बात करते हैं तो इट इज द वर्कफोर्स द लेबर फोर्स इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग जब जब तक ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज आगे नहीं बढ़ेंगे चाहे वो उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन हो चाहे उनकी अपनी ग्रोथ हो चाहे पूरे प्लैनेट की ग्रोथ हो unless and until workforce moves in a innovative environment in a changing environment we have the growth process can be continued in a much more equitable and sustained fashion and in that context the gig economy it is a new innovation it is likely to change the future of the world, it is already changing it. So it's a very relevant topic, how our workforce is changing, how our employers are changing, what new opportunities are being created, what challenges are coming forward. It's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure it is going to change the landscape of workforce in future, not only in India, in the entire world. And I'm glad today's speaker, Shrestha, has taken up this topic. And I'm very, very looking forward to today's discussion on a subject that can change the fabric of growth in our country and elsewhere. So, and I would like to request the audience also to keep in mind how today's topic can change the future of our lives. And not just economically, but overall for the betterment, or the challenges, to seek the opportunities as well as to see the challenges, and combine both of them together to have a very good, fruitful workforce place for all of us. So, with these remarks, I would like to invite now our speaker to begin the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am,
Thank you.
for your opening remarks and for your words and for accepting our invitation and for sharing such a wonderful evening with us today.
Thank you.
Now, since ma'am has, yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Now, since ma'am has already, elaborated the basics of today's topic, so without any further ado, I would like to invite today's speaker. She's a research scholar from University of Delhi, Miss Shrestha Medi, and today she will be speaking on the topic GIG economy, freedom versus job security. Shrestha, over to you.
Hello, am I audible and visible to everyone? Thank you.
Yes, yes, you are.
Good evening, everyone who is present in this platform. A very thank you to Nidhi ma'am for giving a brief introduction on all of us, and thank you to the GSTS team and also Manish sir for this platform. Just giving a brief introduction about myself. My name is Shrestha Medi, and I have done my master's in international relations and my bachelor's in history, economics, and political science from Christ University, Bangalore. And I'm a research scholar now in Delhi, associated with the Delhi University. And I'm here to talk about a phenomena that is rapidly changing how we work, live, and we think about our economic future. That is the gig economy. When we talk about the gig economy, there is no country, perhaps no country in the world where this transformation is so significant, so much complex than where our own country, India. We are not just talking about a new way of ordering food or booking a ride. We are here talking about a fundamental shift in the structure of the work itself, with profound implications with our society and our aspiration as a nation. So I will now start by introducing the topic. I will give a brief introduction about what is the gig economy, what it is called, how it is, and I'll give you a historical background about it. At its core, when we listen to the word gig economy, it refers to a labor market that is characterized by very short-term contracts as opposed to permanent and full-time employment that is available to other contractors. Individuals in the gig economy are often referred as gig workers. They typically earn income through specific tasks, or here it is known as gigs, that is facilitated either by digital platforms or directly by clients. To give a very practical example, so that all my audiences know what I'm talking about, think about your Swiggy, Zomato delivery partner bringing food to your doorstep, the Ola Uber driver getting you across the city, the urban company professional that you call to you for your home services, or even the freelance content writer that contributes to your various articles online. These individuals operate outside the traditional employer-employee relationship and often manage their own schedules and working with multiple clients or different platforms simultaneously. This is changing the labor market and disrupting traditional industries and presenting us with both an immense opportunity and also profound challenges. This isn't just a Western phenomena right now. This is a global phenomena driving technological advancements and evolving economies all around the world. So today I want to dwell into this topic, give a little bit about socio-economic implications with the rise of the topic. And also I will particularly focus in India as a nation in a critical juncture with its economic development. As you can see in this slide, I will give you a historical context about how the entire idea of gig economy started. The idea of gig work is not entirely new. Throughout history, there were various forms of temporary and informal labor that was existed. If you look into the picture also, as early as Egypt, in the 3100 to the 3300 BCE, we see laborers that were hired for specific constructions and agricultural work, crucial to the monumental projects that were being built at that point of time. So there were pyramids and other seasonal demands of farming, and they were people who were being hired. This wasn't a choice for many. It was often the reality of the labor organizations of those times. Then we come to the European Renaissance period. This is a medieval period that we're talking about from 1300 to 1600. We see skilled artisans and craftsmen that move from project to project that was commissioned by wealthy patrons and guilds. These individuals that were being used here had specialized skills and also operated with a degree of autonomy, a far cry from the mass industrial labor that would follow. Now, coming back to the mid-20th century, we see temporary works in agencies that began in US and other supply chain businesses with very short-term staff, particularly for clerical roles. Now, the gig economy that I'm introducing right now, how is it different? The very idea, the scale and the speed of what it is different. There is digital platforms and globalization after 1991 with a growing desire of flexible work have convened to create a perfect storm. The internet, the mobile technology have drastically lowered the transaction costs, the connection of the workers, and employers and employees, the way that they are connected is unimaginable in this decade. As you can see in the slide right now, I will talk a little bit about the growth of the Indian gig economy. So just let's turn to India and now understand how gig economy is exploring in India. As I have mentioned, the digital revolution that took place in India post 200s, we see over more than 900 million subscribers that have created a massive, massive market for online services. I'm not just talking about urban centers here now. Internet penetration is rapidly increasing even in rural areas, bringing gig workers opportunities to the previously unconnected populations in India. This has profound implications for economic distribution and economic development and opportunities that is provided. In India's economic dividend also has a median age now of 28 years, which means a huge amount of young people are now seeking to flexible income. This generation has very different expectations about work-life balance and also career path. They value autonomy and flexibility, and gig economy is the one that offers that sort of an income through which they can earn easily while also pursuing other goals that they have in their life, like education, travel, and creative projects. Now, this is a significant change from the previous generations who used to prioritize job security and long-term employment with just a single employer. We also see the e-commerce boom that has happened and the rise of the startups that has fueled this demand of the labor. Now, this has created new opportunities, but also raises a concern, as ma'am stated, the quality of the jobs and the long-term prospects for the gig workers. I will now give you a little bit of statistics if we go to the next slide. There is different projects that have mentioned that India's gig economy is about to reach I'll quote here, 455 billion. To convert it into Indian rupees, it's 45,000 crore rupees by 2024. So this represents a significant amount of India's GDP and also highlights that the sector is growing and has economic importance. If we look into Niti Aayog also, it estimates that the gig economy workforce would be 7.7 million in 2020-21 and will reach to 23.5 million by the end of this decade, that is on 2029 to 2030. This rapid growth underscores that the need of policies and regulations to ensure that the gig workers are protected and the benefits of the gig economy is shared equitably. Gig workers are also expected to comprise, I think, around 4.1% of the total workforce by 2030. Many of us might think that this is a very small percentage, but this represents a substantial amount of number of people and the impact of the labor market, which will happen by the end of this decade. If we go into the next slide, we will understand about precarious work and job security. As I have now mentioned, that gig economy often provides flexibility, but it is there is a key concern about the rise of precarious work that it belongs to. I have mentioned here some challenges. I will now elaborate on them so that everyone understands that there is a good and a bad chapter to everything. We see different dimensions like lack of a stable employment. Gig workers typically work on a project by project basis, as I have mentioned here, with no guarantee of continued work. If it is a festival season, the Zomato delivery guy who is going to deliver to your house will have more incomes than he will have on a regular day. So this can lead to significant income instability and make it difficult for a gig worker to plan for its future. We also see income volatility. That is, earning can fluctuate significantly depending on the availability of gig, the demand of their services, even the platform's pay structure. Now, this can make it very challenging for the people to meet their basic needs and also to manage expenses, to plan for their economic structure for even like a month or the whole year. We also see the absence of traditional benefits like health insurance and retirement funds. Gig workers often are classified as independent contractors, which means that they are not entitled to any of the benefits that is provided by a traditional employer, like what I'm talking about, health insurance, paid time off, or even retirement contributions or benefits. So the lack of social safety net can leave them very much vulnerable to, the times of illness, the times of unemployment, or even if they are told not to come to their job from tomorrow, or even when they are old or in their pension age. We also see extended work hours, long hours. In order to earn a decent living, many gig workers are forced to work for long hours, for irregular hours, and often they are working overtime for a very minimum amount of pay and with no protections at all. This can take a toll on the physical and mental health and make it very difficult for a balanced work and a personal life. If you even imagine your day-to-day basis, you will never see a gig worker waiting for 1 minute. He will just hand over your package and leave immediately as soon as possible because he has a time crunch in his hand. So all these conditions that I've mentioned here, this raises a very serious question about job security and workers' welfare. Is this the future of work that we want for India? A future where millions of people are wanting to work without basic protections and struggling to make ends and ends meet. I also have a point about labor laws and rights and social safety nets that is there in India. So after the gig economy started and it boomed, we see Indian labor laws that is evolving to address these challenges. At the national level, we have different laws which I could read about, like the Code of Social Security, the Code on Wages, there is the eShram portal that is there. But all these important steps are recognizing the unique challenges that is faced by the gig workers. But I don't know how much of the protection or the degree of implementation is done in a tier 1 city or a tier 2 city. We also have states like Rajasthan, which is taking the lead in specific legislations, demonstrating growing recognition for the need of tailored solution when it comes to this specific economy. Sir, we'll go to the next slide now. We have very significant amount of challenges that is there for the gig workers, and they often lack a legal protection and they have a very weak bargaining power, and they're subjected to various algorithm platforms in the tech savvy platforms that they work, which they have no idea about. So I'll talk about labor rights and also fair treatment, the lack of legal protections that they have, and what are the social safety nets that are there. So when I talk about this, I mentioned previously also, many gig workers fall into a very gray area in terms of their legal status. They're not traditional employers, so they don't entirely have working under independent businesses. This makes them very difficult to put them into the existing labor laws, and their situations leave them very vulnerable to exploitation and unfair treatment. They also, the gig economers, they also have weak bargaining power. They typically cannot negotiate with their platform or their clients, which puts them in a very disadvantageous positions. We don't see unions, we don't see them advocating for a better pay and working conditions because they are only not aware about the different opportunities or the different safety nets or the opportunities that government has given them. We also see massive algorithm control. Big tech companies like Swiggy, Zomato, any delivery companies, they have algorithm control. They use this algorithm control to manage workers and also assign tasks and also determine the pay. these algorithms can be very opaque, and all of them are not tech savvy, that they would understand that they are being treated unfairly or discriminatory in any way. So when you talk about the labor rights and the safety concerns and the lack of the safety nets that is there, in a certain way, all this the delivery and the transportation guys that is there, they face significant safety risk. When you even look into the day-to-day lives, there is traffic accidents, there is violence and harassment that they face, and they have a very limited access to safety equipment or even training that they undergo, in which they are adequately compensated for any sustained injuries in their job. And if you look into it from a gender perspective, women might face more difficult problem when it comes to financial hardships, or even working for long hours or at night. So the very idea we must consider here, that is ethical dimensions of fairness, transparency, and even data privacy is not there, and is problems that are faced by gig economy. You look into the different dimensions, you also see ethical dimension, gender equality dimension. As I mentioned, that if we look into important ethical questions about the responsibility of these platforms to ensure safe pay, safe working conditions, and transparent decision-making conditions, we see all of this balance that is there is not provided to the workers, and there is no rights and well-being that is looked upon for these people. Women gig workers is something that I'm specifically looking into, and they might face specific challenges of gender discrimination and even sexual harassment, and they don't have posh platforms in which they could go and approach, or even the difficulty of balancing work and their family responsibilities that they have is also a crucial idea that we should work upon. Can we go to the next slide, please, sir? Now, this is an interesting slide where we see that gig economy is flourishing all over the world. As I've said, this is a very global phenomena, and now I'll do a comparative analysis to understand where India's gig economy stands and where the gig economy of the entire world, taking some countries, of course, for examples, where they stand. So as I've mentioned till now, India's gig economy is heavily service-oriented. Large proportion of workers are engaged in very low-skilled jobs like delivery or like ride-hailing jobs. These contracts this is a contrast to the very developed economies that we see, because their share of gig workers, which is there, is in very high skill sectors such as IT, counseling, which is very important. And I think this is an important aspect that we should all look into. This has implications for income levels, job security, and also the potential for upward mobility. We are also comparing it with countries like Brazil, where the gig economy is same as India, concentrated into high ride hailing and delivery apps, with workers facing very low pay and long hours of working. This highlights the challenges of decent work even in countries like Brazil. If you look into South Africa also, they face the same problem. They don't have proper legal frameworks to protect the gig workers. In US and UK, we see some gig workers that thrive, particularly in specialized fields, but they also, in US specifically, face very difficult problems when it comes to income instability and the lack of benefits that they get. So this demonstrates that even in developed economies like UK and US, the gig economy also is facing new challenges, because this is a whole new spectrum for the entire world to look into. So I will give a brief contrast with China, with the gig economy that exists in China, and why am I comparing it with China? The audience will get to know. While when we look into China, there is service-based gig economies that exist. A significant portion of the Chinese youth in this gig economy are actively participating in technical and emerging industries. Platforms that connect them with these opportunities are in the software development, data analysis, growing tech companies, AIs, artificial intelligence sectors, providing e-commerce supports to great giants like Alibaba that we have heard about, and even engaging them in flexible manufacturing roles and leveraging the digital revolution that is going on all around the world. Now, this stark contrast has not gone unnoticed, and we see Indian policymakers also talking about this. In a recent address in a trade and industry forum, our Minister of Industry and Supply of India, his name is Piyush Goyal, he also mentions, and I'm quoting him, that while the gig economy offers an immediate employment to a lot of people in India, we must be cautious that this does not become a trap diverting our talent youth into low skill and dead end jobs. What does he mean when he say this? We are risking a nation and becoming a nation of delivery riders instead of a nation to go into an edge about innovation and manufacturing. And this trajectory, I feel, if it is unchecked, could severely undermine our long-term employment and also the economic potential and the ability that India as a country it has in a global stage. This sentiment underscores the growing concern and also puts us in a position where we need to understand where we are going. As I mentioned before, the focus of technology in China is immense. China's gig economy is actively engaging and upskilling their youth in technology-driven industries, aligning their workforce with development which is related to the national strategic priorities. But in India, we see an overwhelming concentration of people who are just working in menial tasks. This is reorientating the entire youth away from the crucial technical and manufacturing sectors. And this is, I believe, providing and hindering the development of the very skilled workforce that ma'am was also talking about, and hindering in the overall economic growth of India. This slide here, as presented, I have talked the various challenges and the impact of India's aspiration. The nature of India's gig economy possessing some challenges to our aspirants of becoming a global power by 2047 or 2030 even. We have an over-reliance on service-based roles, as I've mentioned before, that could hinder our development into manufacturing and technological sector. If large portion of our workforce is still engaged in low-wage, low-gig workers, this may be difficult to attract investments of higher value industries in India. We also risk a skill mismatch, where gig economy workers are not provided with skills which they need to compete when it comes to the global structure of the global economy. This could also lead to a widening gap between the demand for the skilled workers and the supply of qualified candidates that we are giving. The growth of gig economy could also exacerbate existing inequalities with a very small number of highly skilled workers thriving, where we see a large number of low skilled workers just struggling for end-to-end meet in this country. If you go to the last slide, sir, I'll try to give some strategic solutions and way forward to the problem that I've mentioned here. So we have all understood what gig economy is, what the problems are. Now we need to know about what are the strategic solutions which is there and what we can do individually and what the government can do. So here I focused on 3 points. First is the policy and the legal framework that I'm talking about. We need to have comprehensive legislations that balances the flexibility for businesses with clear rights and protection for workers, and also helps the workers. So this legislation that I'm talking about should address issues of workers' classification, minimum wage standards, at least working hours, and give them benefits. It should be flexible enough to adapt to the rapidly growing nature of the gig economy, and also should look into the employers and also the employees who is working in that platform. Now, the second point I'm talking about is social security and welfare measures. We see portable benefits and dedicated welfare funds that are essential. Gig workers should have access to such benefits such as health insurance, retirement savings, and also unemployment insurance, regardless of their employment status. One way to achieve this is through the portable benefits in which they are tied as to the workers rather than the employer. We can also see dedicated welfare funds just financed by contributions from the platforms or from the government, which can provide an additional support to the gig workers. There could also be skill development and training that the government could provide with skills is needed to succeed in this digital economy that I'm talking about, as well as helping them transition into a higher skill role and a higher wage role. I feel like PPP that we all talk about, public-private partnerships, can play a very critical role when we are diverging into this idea of training platform and providing high-skilled gig workers where we are offering training and also career opportunities for them. that there could also be data and transparency. When I was looking into this topic, there was very minimum amount of data which is there for how many people are working, what is the pay structure, what is the algorithm that the platforms use. So workers need to have clear access to what the algorithm is, how they can understand the platform, what is the need that is required, and how are their performance evaluated. So I think if they are being given data and transparency, financial inclusions, and also credit to work, this would really help all the people to collectively bargain through unions and organizations, and the gig workers will help negotiation to pay better. I would conclude my entire topic here now by just stating a few things that India's gig economy is providing an immense amount of opportunities and also a few challenges that I have mentioned here. But adopting a strategic and comprehensive approach can harness its potential to drive into its inclusive growth and also empower our workforce, our youth workforce who is helping us day to day, and also achieve our ambitions as a global economic leader. This requires collaborations between government, as I've mentioned, the different platforms, workers, and you and me as individuals, all of us. The policymakers, business leaders, all should come together. And if we work together to create this gig economy that works for everyone, it will be better than just the gig economy working for the privileged few who is getting their benefits by the Zepto guy delivering their groceries in just 6 minutes. So the choices that you and me we make here today in this platform will determine the kind of future that we create for ourselves and our generations to come. And I hope I've given everyone a platform to think about how this economy works and how you as an individual can contribute to bettering India becoming a global economic leader.
Take up the question and answer session. So, Shrestha, we had a few questions from our listeners. The first question that I can see in the chat box is by Manvi, and she's asking that how do gig workers handle the lack of traditional benefits like healthcare and retirement plans? So, what are your views on it?
So as I've mentioned in my presentation too, gig workers do not have specific unions or do not have specific platforms in which they could engage with their employers or even the state or the central government. Sometimes when it receives a level where they are not able to work properly, they do come and they organize few protests and strikes, but they don't have specific laws which gives them specific job security or the flexibility that is there. This is one of the priorities that I also feel the government should work upon, and it should be the platform which engages them and the state government and also us that should work upon understanding that flexibility should also come with job security.
Most definitely. So we just don't have the positive sides of the gig work, but there are also some areas that need to be taken care of. I had one question for you that I had posted, which was how can gig workers access social security benefits and job security, which I think has been answered by you. But the next question in continuation was, and would a universal basic income be a viable solution for these workers?
Yes, the universal basic income, again, it's talking about traditional employment that has been provided to most of the people in India and also other countries when they are employed by the employer-employee scheme. But if you look into the gig economy, they are not traditional employers. So you cannot look into gig economy as a one-fit-all type of spectrum. These are not traditional workers, non-traditional workers. So there should be specific scheme or a clause added to it, which will understand that these are not long-term employers for a particular platform, but they are workers who are working maybe long hours, or workers who are in very minimum amount, they are working a lot. So to increase the efficiency and also to understand what is their role right now, how can we increase their efficiency so that they are pushed into a scale where they have higher skilled employer. So for that, maybe there should be a provision that is added to the universal basic income laws or the schemes that has been given, but they should be covered under a particular scheme. I don't know if the scheme will be a one-fit-all. I think a special provision should be added into that so that these gig workers are specifically addressed in those.
Yes, definitely. That was very well answered. one more question was by Shailendra, and he had also asked that how important is job security compared to flexibility for most workers today? So, how do these workers compare these two aspects of job security and job flexibility?
Okay, this is actually a very interesting question because I was thinking about that too. So, job flexibility is very important right now because all of us are in that sort of when you graduate. I feel everyone is here 21 plus, so you will understand. After you are 21 plus, you want to have a basic income that you want for your own expenses and stuff, and you cannot go inside a traditional platform and just start it earning for yourself. You need to start somewhere. So when people come from tier 2, tier 3 cities, they find this gig work as a very easy opportunity. Just become a rider, help deliver goods. So this is a diverse amount of opportunity that is there for them, but the skill development part is not looked into. So they found a profound autonomy of them having a certain amount of money that they can use for their own income. They could send back home. So the income potential gives the flexibility edge to the gig economy. But again, I have mentioned that this has their own drawbacks. You have to work for long hours. You don't have any social benefits. If you meet with an accident, there is no security that you have that you will be paid back by your own employer, or even in rainy days you expect them to come to your own house. So the job security part is something which is very important. And hiring someone on a project to project basis where they have been no guarantee for future work, there is no skill development for that person. We are just sending a huge amount of our youth potential to just work for a particular thing which is just stressful and not adding to the wholesome value of that person. The potential remains undiscovered.
Most definitely. And because of this flexibility aspect, I think there is one more question by Mr. Ajay, and it also seems to be a very interesting question that we know that gig work in India is booming because, the work does not really demand a very high level of education. Almost, there can be a lot of people who can be the gig worker in India. Maybe this has become the reason of very low or meager pay to them. So is he's asking that. So do you think that these might be the reasons for a lower, comparatively low pay to those gig workers? And if yes or no, according to your perception, so how can we solve this problem of low pay by formulating a national policy on it?
Yeah. So I am just a researcher, so I cannot say that, whether the government would also want to listen to what is my suggestion for this. But yes, if you compare two situations, imagine a person A with a master's degree or a graduate degree who is working as a content writer. This is also a gig economy. And imagine a delivery guy who is working for Zomato. So the delivery guy's income and the content writer's income will vary, even though both of them are gig workers, because the content writer is using his or her own thoughts, is trying to formulate an answer, versus this guy is just handing over a product from one person to another. So even in service-based economies, there are various dimensions. We see certain job as easy and not requiring a lot of qualification, and a lot of people are recruited for that. So an ease of income is there, but again, that is not it is required, but this is not something where we should push our economy into. We see so many people. If you go outside the road, I'm definitely sure you will see at least 4 to 5 people who are working for the food delivery apps or quick grocery apps. So yes, there is low education that is there. We cannot go and tell the government that you need to pay them 30 to 40,000 rupees or more than that, because the government is also going to ask you what is the qualification that they have. So it should be a holistic approach where people are trying to understand that a menial wage worker will be provided a handsome amount of money only, and they need to move from that situation to a situation where they are skilled and they are using their own ideas to work. They're using their own ideas to uplift their career. So with the technological advancements, as I've mentioned, you see China's economy, you need to move towards that, so that you are also developing as an individual, and the company and the country is developing as an Indian economy. I
Very,
hope that
very well
answered your
answered.
question.
Yes, definitely, most definitely, Shrestha. We actually have time, so I think I can take up one last question, and I'll actually blend the two questions. The first part would the question be, what are your views on the sustainability of the gig economy in the long run? And what do you think about the past labor laws, the recent labor laws that have been introduced in the last 2 to 3 years? So, how have they contributed to this domain of gig work or the gig economy? So, the sustainability part and the recent labor laws
Labor law.
concerning the last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I see the question has been given by one of my friend only, Zahira. So she's very much concerned into this. Yes, the sustainability when I see into gig economy, it's a very new phenomena, but I feel this is a booming economy. A lot of people are now moving from traditional based job into this ride sharing and delivery app jobs, which is providing them quick money. And a lot of people, we see unemployment issues is drastic when we come to a country which is having a huge amount of population as India. So the sustainability concern is that gig economy is going to exist. There will be job insecurities that will be there when it comes to this, but we need to change the overall idea of how we look into this entire freelance idea or the idea of lack of benefits when it comes to a gig economy. So there the idea is going to sustain because this is a very good idea. This is a very flexible idea, and everyone likes flexibility right now. Everyone wants to work from home. Everyone wants quick money when it comes to autonomy for it. So I feel the entire idea is very sustainable and it's going to be there, but there are potential drawbacks when it comes to the entire idea of labor protections. And that is the second question that is mentioned, that these are independent contractors and there are no specific laws that are there because all the laws are for traditional employers with a specific amount of wage that comes into their pocket by the end of the month. And we are talking here about people who earn from a gig to gig or from one project to another project. So someday they might have a high paying month and sometimes they will have no work that has been assured to them. So the government in the last 2 to 3 years, state government, even central government, are working to integrate this huge workforce into the economy, and they are trying to introduce new laws. The Niti Aayog is also even trying, and I've mentioned 2, 3 laws in my presentation. But laws implemented or announced in the state by the central government, and laws implemented in small cities like Assam and small cities of Rajasthan is a completely different idea. We all know, we are all students, we all understand that laws once introduced takes at least 6 to 7 months to be implemented for all people to know. And everyone I know here thinks that, employers, they will find out a small, quick way to even not tell them that, these are laws that could protect you. So everyone should be well educated. The workers should know their rights. The laborers should know what the government is doing for them. And there should be proper implementation in tier 1, tier 2 cities, even villages, if the gig economy is introduced to those level. And the employer should not be stingent and should not try to harass those workers. And in a holistic way with this private public partnership, I feel like the laws can benefit the gig workers also.
Definitely, Shrestha. And with that, we would now like to end our Q&A session, which was really very insightful and really we did receive very well knit answers from your end. We'll have one last question, which we ask to all our speakers, which is centered around how was your experience with the team. So, could you please elaborate and tell the other speakers in the audience about your experience with the platform?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much again for inviting me to speak in this platform. I feel very honored that Manish sir gave me this opportunity so that I could come and connect with GSTS. I have been listening to so many different lectures of GSTS, and I'm very happy that I got this opportunity to speak here. The entire team is fabulous. They are so wholesome. Even in my pre-session with them when I came, trust me, the topic was so haphazard here and there, and they helped me structure the topic. Especially Shubham, I feel like he gave me so many different pointers where I could look upon. So that was great help, and everyone was so welcoming and so it was very heartwarming for me. So thank you so much. I hope I could do justice to your platform.
Yes, thank you so much, Shrestha. And it was definitely a very insightful presentation. And it was very interesting to see how you covered all the aspects of the gig economy within a limited time frame. You did talk about all these complexities, but you also talked about the opportunities that the field holds for all of us. So it was wonderful having you with us. Now, with continuing with the further proceedings, I would now like to invite our most honorable chief guest for today's session. So, ma'am, we would like to welcome you again for your remarks, insights, or suggestions for Shrestha's presentation. So, over to you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Shrestha for a very well presented discussion on the topic, on a very important topic. I'm glad you covered right from the historical roots of the gig economy to the modern day situations in Brazil, China, etc. So you've covered almost 3-4 centuries of how the gig economy was always present and is now taking a new shape in the today's digital platform era. So congratulations on that. And it was a very well structured presentation telling us about the details of the gig economy. How does it work? Highlighting the challenges and the opportunities. And I particularly like the solutions that you presented. So, right from the concept to the way the economy works, to the challenges, to the solutions, I'm sure the audience was taken through a very well presented, talk on the topic. Having said that, just a few remarks I would also like to make. Like, first of all, you said I'm just a researcher. It's a, off the academic remark. You said I'm just a researcher. I don't know whether the government will listen to me or not. On that, I want to say you are not just a researcher. You are the researcher, and all of us researchers are the building block of, policy making and everything. So we all have to do good research on the topic, and maybe we present our solutions to the ministry so that the gig workers have a, whatever challenges they have, we have to contribute to giving the solutions. So you're not just a researcher, you are the researcher and the building block of the country. So we should not underestimate ourselves in that regard. Having said that, just few things I wanted to say, because it was a presentation talking in general about the gig workers. I think we should, if we have to take this further research into this topic, we should also look within the categories of gig workers. There are many subcategories. For example, there are some free agents, like I see the vocabulary used. Some free agents are people who, by choice, have the gig economy as their primary source of income. So they are, by choice, they are happy to do it. There are some casual earners, again by choice, who use the gig economy as a supplementary or a secondary workers. So those who are by choice and using it as a supplementary or a primary source of income, happily doing it. So these people have a choice that they have made. But on the other hand of the spectrum, you have also people who are reluctantly coming into this economy. They don't want this as a primary source of income because they still prefer traditional jobs and this job security and the other social security benefits. So reluctantly they are joining the labor force. And on the other hand, we also have, like you talked about, people who do not have enough education and skills. So these people are financially strapped. They do not have the skills and education, maybe because of their family background. They want to study, but maybe they don't have the resources. So they are financially strapped. They are low skilled, and but still they opt to enter into the gig economy out of necessity and not by out of choice. So these are the people. So on the so we have to look at in detail at all the kinds of gig workers we are talking about, and do proper research on each and every different segment, because the conditions are different, and therefore the solutions will have to be different. So a deeper insight into that would be more meaningful. Secondly, if we talk, whenever we have to analyze, I feel all the stakeholders must be taken into account. So here we have the consumers, we have the employers, we have the gig workers, and we have the government. So all four have to work together. And so if we talk about the gig economy for employers, I feel it's a win-win situation. You don't have to maintain corporate offices. You don't have to spend money on social security. You don't, as of now, you don't have to give any training programs to your workers. You have an agile work workforce. You can quickly adjust your workforce according to the labor to the demand conditions. So there's a lot of cost cutting over here. And cost cutting, money saved is money earned. So if the employers use the cost cutting effectively into a different channel that can create more employment opportunities, that can be a a good aspect of this whole gig economy, because ultimately there are cost savings for the employers. For the customers, as you mentioned, we are the king. In 5 minutes we can get from an iPhone or for grocery. So for customers also, it's we are saving on transportation costs, we are saving on time, and we are getting a good variety, quality, everything is there. So customers are also the king. For the gig workers, if you're doing it by choice and it's your primary and secondary source of income, it's nice. But if you're the reluctant workers or the financially strapped, unskilled, uneducated workers, then basically that's a different game altogether. Governments have played a role, like many questions were also raised. I would like all the audience to look into the budget that was recently announced, 25 this year. So, recognizing the importance of the gig workers, a lot of benefits have indeed been extended by Prime Minister and Finance Minister to the gig workers. You have it has been made compulsory that under health security, Prime Minister's Jan Arogya Yojana and compulsory iCards and registration on the e-Shram portal. All these things have been initiated. Budget allocation has been increased, and even they have been asked. Many employers have been asked, like urban company. As of now, I know urban company, Blinkit, etc. They've also registered themselves on this e-Shram portal. So that these unorganized workers come into proper data. As you mentioned, data collection is also necessary if you want to do something. So yes, in the recent budget only, a lot of initiatives have been taken. A lot of law changing, as you said, it will take time. It's a growing process and it will take time. So I'm sure government will look forward, and in the end, we are all talking. We all hope that India becomes a developed nation and a Viksit Bharat by 2047. And in economics, we always say, like you see an airplane taking off. So for a takeoff to take place, you need a certain speed of the aircraft, and you need it over a prolonged distance. Like runway इतना बड़ा होता है, तो आपको एक distance पे, एक speed पे run करना है, तभी आप take off कर पाओगे. Same is the case with economic development. You have to have a certain level of economic growth, sustained continuous economic growth over a continuously long period of time. Then only we can take off. And in that respect, anything that creates employment opportunities, anything that creates growth prospects, income prospects, that is always welcome. And in today's digital world, there is no falling back on the fact that we have to take advantage of whatever is available. So I believe that there is a short-term perspective and there is a long-term perspective that we need to look at. So short-term perspective, it seems good for the people who do not have jobs and income earning opportunities. But in the long term, all the gig workers have to be integrated, especially at the lower skills level. They have to be integrated into mainstream, and with the government initiatives given social security, health benefits, etc. And future research into this topic, because I'm from economics, so we could have more data collection on the different types of workers, their wage trends, their anxiety levels, psychological and financial studies can be carried out, and we can have econometric models also, where we can determine how the job security, happiness of these workers depends on their work-life balance and other working conditions. So any change which brings income and to the people is welcome, but that money is not everything. Job security, anxiety levels, health of the workers, and future, post-retirement, all these things, education levels, everything has to be taken into account. And I believe there is a lot of future in this aspect of growth. And the idea is to just create a balance between all aspects of life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your remarks and for bringing your expertise to the table. And I'm very much sure that your suggestions and insights that you've provided to the topic would definitely add to a significant depth to our discussion, and especially for Shrestha, I believe.
Yes.
And your comments have been enlightening. Your presence have been has been very heartwarming for all of us. And thank you so much again for sparing your valuable time on a busy Sunday evening. So
No.
thank you so much, ma'am, again. Um, Moving ahead, it's now time to invite our next speaker for the next Sunday. So I would like to invite Miss Bhavika to please come up and give us a brief overview about her upcoming talk, which is centered around Manipur comics as a visual representation of history. So, Miss Bhavika, the stage is yours. Please go ahead with your introduction.
Hi,
Bhavika, are you?
evening.
Yeah, yes, you're audible. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
I hope I'm audible. I have a bit of a network issue, so I'll be keeping my camera off. So my name is Bhavika Sachan, and I'm actually a postgraduate student from the Department of English, University of Delhi. And to tell you briefly about myself, I am a researcher and a scholar who's very deeply interested in oral and visual cultures, specifically of contemporary South Asian cities, so to say. I have published research papers on topics of caste and visual culture as well as oral traditions across marginalized communities. And for the topic that I've chosen to hold at the GSTS platform, it's basically revolving around the visual representation of oral histories and traditions of Manipur, especially in the form of comics. So the thing is that for centuries, Northeast Indian region has shared stories orally. Today, their stories they leave from the village fire narratives and everything into vibrant comic panels, becoming living archives of a culture fighting to survive or fighting to preserve. Manipur, with over 30 ethnic communities, faces cultural erasure. We all are a bit aware of it. Languages vanish, traditions fade, and political tensions are always there. Yet, comics have emerged as unexpected heroes within this particular background of culture and politics. There are many artists, such as Kiran Kumar, who's also an IAS officer over there. He has collaborated with tribal elders to turn myths into graphic novels, stitching fractured communities together. Basically, unlike your mainstream Indian comics such as Amar Katha, that kind of stereotypes the Northeast, Manipuri comics act as tools of resistance. They reclaim narratives, challenges exist, commercialization risks are there, funding gaps are also there, but hope thrives digitally, especially through Instagram artists who reimagine folk tales for Gen Zs. And there are many projects which are taken up on global levels, such as A Path Home, which is actually uh, based on the repatriation issue of Nagaland. These comics aren't just art, they are blueprints for decolonizing education, mirrors for marginalized voices, and they are acts of survival. So, how do we use storytelling to heal divisions in our own communities? So, how do we use this form, this visual culture form, to express and preserve narratives which were orally circulating across centuries in this particular region? So, the conversation shall aim to introduce us to the possibilities of using the comic form in archiving and preserving culture with a specific focus on the rise of comics in Manipur. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhavika. That seems to be a very interesting and insightful topic, and we are pretty eager to hear you for the next Sunday. And I would again like to request all the members and all the audience that's present here to please ensure that you are present for the next Sunday. And because the topic is very interesting, like all of our topics that have been so far. So, good luck to you, Bhavika, for your next talk and for concluding remarks. And to proceed and take the session further, I would now like to hand over the stage to Dr. Manish. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Samriddhi. And it's a really like a thought-provoking evening on Sunday evening. The initial remarks: PhD is not a gig work, and for everyone, most of the students, most of the scholars are from the research background. So the PhD is not a gig work. So and the gig start with the music. I think so, and that was somehow not a good work word. gig work, because we don't have right now, we don't have the full form of gig. Gig from grace in God. I'm searching the full form of gig, but I did not find the word gig. So the word itself does not have meaning. So how come this gives a very blended economic development? This is my orthodox view on the gig economy, because every 10 years India is having a different kind of culture. When we were students, that KPO and BPO were there, and right now these the scooter boys and the bike boys are around. Whole shopping complex is empty right now, and what the only scooters and the bikes are looking towards the shops, that they are going to give us a 8 minute or 10 minute delivery. It's why, because I'm not researching on the gig economy, but for me, it's fine if the our guest speaker is talking about, if anything gives us an income, the it's a very good for economy. But additionally, she also talked about the income with some responsibility. This is our Indian viable culture. So whatsoever, because a very wonderful presentation by Shrestha Medi, and adding up by Nidhi ma'am, and it's a really wonderful evening for me also. And ma'am also is talking about the airfare is one, the plane, the example from the plane. But right now, ma'am, look, the airfare is so high right now. So where we are going towards, because I'm a history teacher and I'm area study uh, uh, teacher. So this somehow this gives me a very not a good vibe for the economy, for those young kids. The time is for the study and build their own ideas, and they are working with the different ideas, because people are doing PhD and doing for the coffee, working for the coffee shop, or the graduate student doing their graduate and working the coffee shop. I don't think so. This is the true reflect true culture of Indian education system, because the Western education system, there are the less population, and the whole family system are very different. So the person, just like Shrestha Medi is talking about, we are doing PhD and working with the some. So I don't think so. This is good time, because West is West. They are right now up almost 100 years, like 100 years away from us. But we have to work on ground. If a graduate student doing graduation, so only do graduation, not do the this is my concluding remark. I don't know whether it's right, economically right or wrong, because I'm not I love the numbers, but numbers do not always tell the real situation. So suppose that a PhD student, government is spending 25 lakh rupees for you people, and you people are doing the gig work. So I don't think so this is a very appropriate for any department or any university. So this is what about, but the gig work for the time being, for the gifting. Some of my students, they are doing to gifting a phone to loved one. So we are somehow we are diverting through these ideas, because we are having ample population. So earlier we able to do in the agriculture, and now we are not going to market to work on the day-to-day work. And one researcher must doing this. What about the rural area, where still we are facing the problem of medicine and the day-to-day utility? So I don't know where we are headed towards, because it's a researcher, economics researcher, and the government's idea. But today I want to say something about. I presume to say something about the Africa gig economy, but it's 6:03. So usually we are not late, and today is the 3 Africa, because I'm attached with the now Shyam Lal College evening, and also for the Department of African Studies. So today South Africa, Sierra Leone, and the other Togo, they are celebrating the Independence Day. So Shrestha is including one of the South African idea. So thank you, Shrestha. And I'm very happy in this evening, because the Department of African Studies is in safe hands. Uh, I don't know Nidhi ma'am or Shrestha know each other. I don't know, but go and check the PhD result of our department. So this is a very happy moment for me as a department teacher. So thank you very much, Shrestha, for giving us a wonderful evening. And as usually, Nidhi ma'am and my both the moderators, Salendra, and somehow the glitch in the Salendra's internet, and Samriddhi took over, and Samriddhi is doing teaching also in the GB Pant University and just completed MA in English from the Department of English, Delhi University. So thank you all my graduate, postgraduates, MPhil, PhD student, and my colleagues from the different department, and especially the star of the day, Chesta Medi, and the anchor towards the fulfillment of this whole GSTS, Nidhi ma'am, and the coming speaker Bhavika. And it's a really fascinating topic about the Manipur. Everybody's talking about the Manipur violence and 38 tribes, why they are in like in fighting. But your topic is very good, so I invite everybody to come on next Sunday and listen to Bhavika's ideas, Manipur comic. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care. And so it's time to leave. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.